Hello all, I'm Sai and in today's video I'm bringing to you 10 books that are perfect for beginners. I have a total of 7 fiction books and 3 non-fiction books here, and I also have a mix of genres inside the fiction books. So if you're a person who is just interested in certain specific genres alone, I'm sure that you will get at least a few recommendations out of this video. All of these books are very easy to read and they do not have anything complicated to deal with at all. The language of the books is easy. They will make you want to flip the pages continuously and want to read more of it until you reach the end and finish the book. At the same time, they'll be super entertaining. So without any further ado, let's get into the books right away. The first 2 books that I'm recommending today are young adult contemporary books, and of these, the first one is Felix Ever After by Kacen Calender, where we follow our main character Felix, who's this trans teen boy, and he has this huge passion towards arts. He's working so hard in his high school in order to get into this huge arts college. His family is not doing that great financially, so he has to get this huge scholarship or merit to get into the college, and the only way to get that is to do all the things that are possible from his end to ace all his classes. It is very easy to read, and Felix also feels like a very relatable character no matter who you are. He is this very typical teenage person. At the same time, he has this other side of his life because he is trans, and what are all the challenges he faces as a young adult because of that. The reason why I'm recommending this at first is because it is one of the books that provides the most variety inside the list that I curated. At the same time, I personally have not read any other stories except this one, which has a trans male character. I have seen trans women and trans female characters depicted in so many stories and included properly, even in the movies and TV shows that we watch in our country, but I've not seen any trans male character so far. And the author also did a really great job of portraying Felix as a person who has clear issues and how all he's trying to sort them out properly. It is such an awesome book, and if you're a beginner, I'm sure that you will end up finishing this in just a couple of days and be super easy and fun to read. Next we have Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. Now I'm sure that in many of the other books for beginners videos, you might have seen The Fault in Our Stars by John Green being recommended so many times. But I'm recommending this one over that because The Fault in Our Stars is kind of a bittersweet story, and towards the end it just makes you feel sad even though it's an amazing book. But this one is definitely not like that. It is so much fun. It is also deeply emotional, but towards the end of the book, you'll just feel very warm, happy and comforted because of the writing styles of both the authors coming together. Here we follow the story of 2 teen boys named Will Grayson who are living completely different lives in totally different social and economic circles, and because of some events that happen, both of them end up meeting each other. This quirky friendship that develops between Will Grayson and Will Grayson is the plot of the book, and we also get to see the separate lives of both the Will Graysons and all the issues that they are dealing with. While you're reading the book, it will feel like both of these people are from completely different worlds, and it will be emotional at so many instances. And when you finish reading the book, I'm sure that you'll feel so happy. Next we have a psychological thriller book. I personally did not end up liking this book because of the ending, but I've seen so many people going nuts over this book because I can understand. It is very interesting to read and it will make you want to flip the pages continuously. I'm pretty sure that once you start reading this book, you'll be able to finish it within like 2 or 3 hours max because it will make you flip the pages continuously no matter who you are. And it is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, which is a psychological thriller. Here we follow our main character Cadence, and because of some things that have happened during one of the holidays that she goes to in this island house with her family, parts of her memory have been erased and she's not able to remember them properly at all. Every summer what happens is this group of filthy rich people go to this island house to their grandfather's house, and they just spend their time together as cousins and friends together, just enjoying each other's company. But just as I said, a few years back, during one of such vacations, our main character Cadence has lost bits of her memory and she's not able to recollect them properly now. It also seems like everyone is making an effort to not make her remember that too. There are so many secrets about the family that get revealed, and some of them will be super shocking for you to read. It's also quite a tiny book, just over 200 pages long. You can easily finish this over a weekend, and it is definitely a page turner. Now, if you're someone who wants to read Indian mythological fiction books, then I'd suggest you this only author, Kevin Missal, and of all the books that he has written so far, this is easily one book which I've enjoyed the most by him, and it is also probably his best book so far, and it is Karna, the King of Anga. It is technically the first book inside a series, but the second book has not been published so far, and there is also no talk about the second book coming anytime soon. It also reads like a standalone, so you can definitely go forward and pick this up. It is basically the story of the Mahabharata narrated to us from the point of view of Karna. If you know the Mahabharata, I'm sure you know how grey a character Karna is, and how righteous he is as a person. Now, Kevin Missal always has this talent to take the mythological characters' essence and show them as totally new people to us. That's exactly what he has done in this book too. You have to keep in mind that this is mythological fiction, and if you go in with that clearly in your mind, trust me, you will have an amazing time inside this one, because the kinds of relationships that he builds, the amount of action his books have, at the same time the strategizing that he does when it comes to wars and stuff are all so fun to read. I should say that the character work of Karna done by Kevin Missal in this one is just out of the world. It is quite a big book, but trust me, you can finish it in no time. Now, if you're someone who likes different genres of books, but not romance that much, but you do like romance a little bit in the books that you read, but not as a main element, then you have to try this very popular book called Fangirl by Rowell. I read this book last year only, and it is easily one of the most cozy books that I've read so far in my life. Here we follow our main character Kat, who's super popular on the internet for her fanfiction, and she gets into college along with her twin sister, and both of them separate ways, and they are going to do their own stuff inside college from now on. Now, I can easily say Kat will be a super relatable character for so many teenagers out there, because no matter who we are, all of us might have felt like Kat at some point in our lives. Now, Kat is doing English literature as her major, and what are all the issues that she faces there, and the kind of stuff she writes on the internet for fanfiction, and the kind of writing that is expected of her for her academics are totally different. How she balances both of these things and proves herself worth in both spheres is the plot of this book. It is not serious, it is very cozy, and again, it looks like a big book, but once you start reading it, you will just fly through it because it is such a breezy book. I'd say the best time to read this is on a Friday night. Start reading it on a Friday night, and I'm sure by the end of the week, you will have finished reading it. Next, we have a super popular sci-fi book that is also a very super hit movie, and it is The Martian by Andy Weir. I'm pretty sure you know about what The Martian is. In case you don't, this is what it is all about. There is this crew of people who go to Mars in order to do some research, and there's this sandstorm that hits Mars out of nowhere when they are at the end of their research. And because of the sandstorm, the team has to escape from Mars and get back to Earth. And during this time, accidentally what happens is they end up missing one of the crew members. They all think that he's dead, but after a few days, it comes to their knowledge that the person who's been left on Mars is not actually dead and he's alive. He's basically just cultivating potatoes and do all he can to stay alive until his crew comes back and rescues him. There is always this turbulence of having hope at the same time losing hope completely because of the unique situation that he's put in right there. It is super funny, very, very engaging. And believe me, you will feel that you are actually there along with this character in Mars while you're reading the story. The last fiction book that I want to recommend to you guys is a middle grade fantasy book. It is actually a children's fantasy, but don't underestimate this book at all, like I did, because it is really amazing, a little bit complicated, but can be read by anyone no matter what your age is. And it is The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. Here we follow our main character Luna, who's this very little girl. She's just over 10 years old. And the thing about Luna is that she was taken away by this witch when she was a baby because she was sacrificed by her village to the witch with the thought that if the village ends up sacrificing one baby per year, the witch will not come forward and take or abduct any of the other babies from the village. But on the other side, the story is totally different because the witch has been thinking that these people are just out of nowhere leaving a baby inside the woods to die on this particular day each and every year. And the witch ends up saving the baby from the woods, feeds the baby starlight, makes the baby healthy, and then delivers the baby to a family in another part of the world who are actually in need of a baby. She has been doing this for ages, and on this particular year what happens is she picks up the baby and accidentally, instead of feeding the baby starlight, she ends up feeding the baby moonlight. And because of this, the baby acquires incredible magical abilities which do not show up right away. So the witch cannot go forward and deliver the baby to any human family because they'll not be able to train the baby and help her deal with this magic. She ends up bringing up the baby along with this dragon and a marsh monster who are kind of like a little brother and a father figure for Luna throughout the story. Now, this is just one plotline that I've explained, and there is so much more going on to the story. Even though it is a children's book, it is really well thought out and wonderfully built by the author. You'll easily lose yourself inside the story while you're reading this book, and since it's also a children's book, it will not just be fun and whimsical, but also very easy for you to get through. Moving on to the non-fiction books, the first one which I want to recommend to you is The Magic Mindset by Preeti Shenoy, which is this very tiny little self-help book in which the author talks about developing the mindset called this magic mindset, which is nothing but being positive, optimistic and hopeful about your future and doing all you can in the present without overwhelming yourself so that you make your way to where you want to go all by yourself without disturbing anyone, at the same time not burning yourself out. Now this is a very beginner level book, so if you are someone who has read a lot of non-fiction books already, I'd suggest you to not go forward and try this one because it does not have that much to provide for a person who might have read a lot many non-fiction books before. But if you're totally new to reading and if you want to read something which will just spark that fire of inspiration and motivation within you, this is definitely one book you need to try. The author is also not at all compelling or preachy at all at any instant. The book feels more like a conversation with an elderly person who's very much wiser than you are to help you get your life better than someone just sitting down and lecturing you about all the things that you want to do in order to make your life better. It is soft in its tone but also very effective. And it also has a lot of exercises which you can do by putting pen to paper. So do give it a try. Next we have a personal finance book and it is Let's Talk Money by Monika Halan. Now I suggest people who are working alone to read this book because if you're reading this while you're in college or school, while you're still studying and not making money, it will kind of overwhelm you. But if you're someone who has been through college and school, or if you've just started working right now, I suggest you to go forward and read this book because it is very practical in its tone, okay? The author knows what she's talking about and she has practiced each and everything that she talks about inside this book. It might feel a bit confusing and overwhelming at times because of so many jargons that the author uses, but she's also very aware of that and tells you that once you keep practicing some of the things that she says inside the book, it will get much easier. And it is also just a system that you learn and not just different ways to make money. This book does not tell you how to make money, but just multiply the money that you already have and what all you can do in order to keep yourself financially secure at any age and stage inside your life. You can see that I've put in a lot of tabs inside the book because it has so much to offer. It's easily the one personal finance book which I've got the most use out of. It will be a little bit complicated, just a tad, but trust me, once you finish reading this, you'll definitely have a better understanding of finances. And the last book that I want to recommend to you is Unposted Letter by Rangarajan, which is just a collection of a stream of thoughts that are written by the author in the form of a letter to the reader. Now, I cannot say that this book will be acceptable for everyone. For example, for me, it was not acceptable at multiple instances because it is kind of preachy in its tone. The author tells everything in the way that this is right and this is wrong, even though most of the things in life cannot be divided into just two categories. Still, if you're searching for some read that can just inspire, motivate and give you that rush of optimism that you need in order to go on with your life and just start something new that can benefit you in a really good way in the future, you can go forward and try this book. Again, this is not one book you need to read if you have read a lot of non-fiction books already, but if you're totally new to reading, I'm pretty sure that this will offer you a lot. So yes guys, those are all the 10 books for beginners that I wanted to recommend today. And if you have any other recommendations for beginners, please do let them down in the comments so that it can be seen and read by so many other people who are in need of such recommendations. And if you did find this video useful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.